So our company has recently been working with someone who's been interested in a whole life insurance policy. He's considering funding $50,000 per year. He was looking at a funding period from 5 to 15 years. You'll see that he's 50 years old right now. He's interested in maximizing the cash value. So we looked at a number of options with different companies and such to help him refine his decision-making process. And he's just about there. He's ready to begin the underwriting process, but he had a question. His question was about potentially going with a larger policy. What he said was this: okay, from the numbers you had sent, guys, what I can do, I know I can fund $50,000 per year, but I think I can do $100,000 per year. And a lot of times people have this type of question. Here's what I'm comfortable with, but should I stretch for a higher dollar amount? There is a benefit to that, especially if you feel that you might be able to add more money to a policy after it has started. Because what's the worst part about any life insurance policy, a high cash value policy? The first year, because I get less back than what I pay into it. What's the best part about a policy? Every year after the first year. It's compounding, but then more so, I see the premium payment, the base premium payment I make comes back to cash value. So things are really moving faster now. So all of the money I'm paying in is coming back to work for me. So if I build a policy where I can add a bit more, what that allows for is more window room, the ability to add more to an existing policy and not have to go through the expenses again and start over with a new policy. If I say, let's start out at 50K, and if I want to pay more in, then I'll just get a new policy. You can do that. A lot of people do that, but not everyone likes it. So some specs in this case. He's 50 years old. He wants to fund for 5 years, and he's trying to figure out how much. Again, somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000. He phrased a question, and he phrased it like this. Let's look at two options. I've got policy A, where I can fund a maximum of $100,000 per year. With this setup, I have a $10,000 base premium and a $100,000 MEC limit. Then policy B, the maximum I can fund is $50,000. That design is as follows. I have a $5,000 base premium and a $50,000 MEC limit. The 5K base premium comes from 10% of the desired funding. So what this means with both options as well, from a flexibility standpoint, if he goes with option B, his commitment is approximately $5,000 per year, and he can add additional funds up to a total of $50,000. If he goes with option A, what's his minimum commitment? $10,000, which is important to note because that's 2 times what policy B is. However, he can fund up to $100,000. So those are the two options he's considering. Here's his question. If I go with policy A and only manage to fund $50,000 per year, will the cash value be higher with policy B? In other words, if I go too big with the 100K policy, will I regret it? So if we look at that question, let's break it down here. If I go with policy A, which is the policy with a $10,000 minimum premium and the ability to go up to 100K. If he picks that, but can only pay 50K per year, which is the maximum allowable payment with policy B, will policy B have more cash value? Well, the answer to that question is yes, without even looking at the numbers. We're going to look at the numbers, but if you're funding a maximum of $50,000 per year, policy B, that has a minimum premium of $5,000 and a 50K MEC limit, if you fund that with 50K, you're max funding it. You're funding it based on the limits that the insurance company and the IRS offers. You're maxing it out year in and year out for 5 years. So yes, if you fund a maximum of 50K per year, policy B will give you the most cash value. However, if you go with policy A and fund more than $50,000 during any year, it'll be worth it. Or I should say, it will probably be worth it. Now, with that said, if someone said to me, if you go with policy A, Steve, and you do fund more than $50,000, let's say you get 100K in only 1 year or only 2 years, not every year, you'll see the benefit there. You'll like it. I would say, okay, thank you for telling me that. I appreciate it. Can I still see some numbers? Because I am dedicating a lot of cash here in either scenario, so I want to make sure that the cash value is maximized because my plan is to maximize the cash value and then potentially use it for other opportunities and such. So how we want to do that, how we want to illustrate these two options, or illustrate the fact that if I do pay more than 50K with option A, that I'll feel it was worth it to go with it. Here's what I would do. I would show first policy A and what it looks like if you max it out every single year. So if you pay 100K per year with a policy with a 10K minimum premium and 100K MEC limit, it's going to look good, right? Obviously, that's what we look at all the time. But then let's also look at policy A and what it looks like if you only pay in $50,000 per year. This goes back to his question. If I go with policy A and only manage to fund $50,000 per year, that's what this is. We're going to look at policy A with that funding and then compare it with policy B, which is the same out-of-pocket to him, 50K per year. The difference, B, which is in blue here, he'll have a $5,000 base premium. Let's take a look. So we'll begin with A, with the max funding scenario. So what do you notice here? Annual funding in blue, 100K per year. Base premium or minimum premium, $10,000. PUA rider, $90,000. First year cash value, about $88K. Break-even point between years 3 and 4 in this example. After the 5th year, never pays anything in again. However, he can continue to fund it if he wants to. So that's option A, showing a best case scenario. Let's look at option A with his question answered. Here we go. So again, policy A, look at your minimum premium, $10,000. This is a combination actually of the base premium and the term rider, but that's the minimum, $10K. PUA at $40, $50K per year. So his out-of-pocket here is $50,000 annually. What do you notice that's different here with respect to the performance? Not the dollar amounts, because I'm paying different dollar amounts in, the performance. Well, what we can see here, the break-even is extended. Instead of between years 3 and 4, my crossover or break-even point is between years 5 and 6. So it takes a little bit longer. But again, these are identical policies with the minimum premiums, death benefit, everything's the same. I'm just paying in less. Now, I can pay in more with this, but this is meant to demonstrate what it looks like, again, if he goes with policy A and only manages to fund $50,000 per year. So, there we go. Now let's look at policy B. What do we see here? The annual funding column. That's identical to the center example. So if this is you, you're paying $50,000 per year for 5 years in both of these scenarios. Here, you've got A, and then here, you've got B. What's the difference? Well, first year, your cash value is $44,000. Whereas over here, it's $39,000. The far right cash value difference will show how much more or less you have in cash value with policy B compared to policy A with the 50K per year funding scenario. So as we look at this, what do you notice? First year, you've got almost $5,000 more. By the end of the funding period, it's a $10,000 difference. You've paid in $250,000, and because you have a base premium that's $5,000 instead of $10,000, and a lower death benefit because you only need a $50,000 MEC limit, that gave you $10,000 more in cash value. And then you've got compounding working for you over time, so you're not paying anything else in. But if we look at this at the year 20 mark, you've got about $22,000 more, almost $23,000. So I do see more value with the 50K option. So that is the answer to his question. Yes, you will have more money with policy B if you only manage to fund $50,000. Okay, so that part answered. Let's go to the however piece. Do you remember what that was? However, if you're able to get more than $50,000 into the policy A, not every year, but during some years, it'll likely be worth it. So let's demonstrate that. And what we'll begin with is policy A with the good stuff. So this is a best case scenario, what it looks like if you fund 100K per year for 5 years. We looked at that on the last tab. But what if I can't manage to do 100K every year? Let's say it's just the first and second year. I can start out aggressive, but then things slow down. Will that work? Well, you can do that. So here, 10K minimum, 90K PUA, years 1 and 2 only. Break even point between years 3 and 4. What we aimed for here, the purpose of this example for funding it more than 5 years, was 1, to demonstrate that he can do that. But the main thing I wanted to do was to show him policy A with his original request, 100K per year for 5 years, wanting to see an illustration like that. What's it look like if he still gets 500K in, but it's spread out? The break-even point can be the same if I'm able to max fund it in the first 2 years, and then I still get a total of 500 in. And it can be slower than this too. Maybe it's a total of 25K per year until he hits 500, and he can keep on adding if he wants to. But the point there is to demonstrate that the break-even point is still the same because I max funded it up front. Now, let's look at the other option we saw before, which is the 50K per year for 5 years with the option to go up to a total of 100. This is the same scenario we had just looked at. Now we can see different funding scenarios all side by side, which is a lot of fun because we can see what it might look like if I fund different dollar amounts. What I'll add, and we'll close with this, is this shows max funding it up front. That will achieve the break-even point between years 3 and 4 in a case like this with this product. However, he might do something like this. Let's say these 2 years are 50K, and then he wants to scale it up to 100K later. Can he do that? Yes, he can. He can even add more than that and make up for lost time with any unused mech space. If you aren't familiar with that, I would check out the video above that goes over mech catch-up contributions. But the main point here is he's got the ability to add more money. So if he thinks that's realistic, that may be a reason to go with the larger policy. And then secondly, if he's able to get more than 50K in, even if it's down here, he's getting it into the policy after the initial expenses when it's compounding. So instead of starting over the new policy, he can get it into the existing one. That will result in him saving time and then ultimately having more money. When I say saving time, if he starts a new policy, he's got to go through the early years again and the negative cash value, meaning less than what he paid in. So I hope this video was helpful. Let us know if you have any questions at all. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. And as always, I hope this helps. Thanks so much. Hey guys, Steve here with IBC Global. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're interested in a whole life insurance policy and you'd like to work with our company in setting it up, please visit our website, ibcglobalinc.com. We would love to work with you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And as always, I hope this helps.